Welcome to our very own first podcast, Father to Son Beyond the Surface. As you might know, a lot of men are facing a lot of challenges, and they are easily and feel overwhelmed over the responsibility and over whatever is happening in their lives. Today we have a particular topic that we want to discuss about. I have congregated and I'm surrounded by great men of opulence and influence. And today we are going to be discussing a topic that is going to resonate with every one of you. So today we are going to be discussing about navigating the complexities of father to son relationships, particularly when a father is absent. So I would want to introduce the panel that I have with me today. So I'll start with Mr. Max Chitaka. Mr. Max Chitaka is the founder of Father2Son Support Network. He's an entrepreneur, author, life coach, grant writer, community leader, and father to 2 sons and 1 girl. On the panel as well, we have Coach Nigel. Coach Nigel is a certified life coach, PA educator, mining engineering student at Gwanda State University. He's a leader, philanthropist, and he is many, many more things. And we also have Walen Tinashe Nyaume. Walen Tinashe Nyaume is a certified town planner, aspiring entrepreneur, preacher, evangelism leader, intercession leader. We also have Mr. Greystone Fungai Chipote. He's a career banker with 10 years of experience in retail and corporate banking. And he is also have experience in investment banking with a South African private equity firm. He has also since founded Wisdom Capital, a financial advisory boutique, which is synergies that cut down across 4 continents. He is also a pastor at Grace Christian Church and is also an author. So imagine a scenario where you were abandoned by your father at a young age, only to have him appear years later seeking to reconnect and meet with you or meet with your grandkids. How would you feel? How would you handle the situation as a male child or as a male figure? I would want maybe to pose a question to the panelists to say, why are fathers important, and what do we mean when we say a father is absent? So I'll start with Mr. Max Chitaka to answer this for us.
Thank you so much, Coach Carl. Thank you, our audience. Like the topic is correctly expressed, that the issue of a father in a family is very critical. The father is the one who gives the backbone of any family. He is the sort of like the skeleton of any family. So all the issues that come or that happen in a family, they bounce on the father, and he is the one who is supposed to stabilize issues. He is the one who deals with the mental issues. He is the one who gives the children and even the wife the stability that they thrive on. So when a father is now absent, all those things, they are not there. We are left with a family sort of like without a very strong foundation. So fathers out there, you might not know your worth. You might not know what you are supposed to be doing, or why you are there. Maybe the purpose of why fathers are there. But in reality, the father in a family is the one who leads. Even in the Bible, so the father is the priest of the family. And even in our Christian circles, we actually pray to say, our Father who is in heaven. So it's not just a coincidence that we have God the Father, and you are also being referred to as a father. So the roles that men, or actually fathers, play in families, it's quite great, Coach.
Thank you, Coach, and a good day to audiences across the world. I think that when you speak about fatherhood, you're speaking of leadership. The leader gives a compass. In a family setup, you are talking of a moral compass. You are also giving a compass to what a man is. be it to the girl child and to the boy child. They are asking themselves, what is a man? And you are the model that they see. So the role of fatherhood, I always also say that he gives us the software of life. Our mothers give us the hardware of life. In other words, what we see, or we easily see what the mother does. The father's presence is soft. He gives you identity. Who are you? Which is an intangible, really. He might not do the dishes, he might not do what, but he gives you key ingredients for life. And some of them are very intangible, but very important in life. You see their importance mainly when they are absent. So that's my brief on a father. We always say fathers do provide, but there's always a complexity of what do they provide, because I believe even women can also provide. So they provide the soft skills, which are very important. How do you handle dispute? How do you, in the presence of a crisis, how do you navigate? How do you manage your temper? What is your identity? All those kinds of things. The fathers actually play a pivotal role in handling those things.
Thank you very much for that wonderful insight. Maybe I'll move over to Wallen to just tell us what an absent father is, so that maybe the audience could relate to our topic today.
Thank you so much, Coach. It is an honor and a privilege to be speaking and to be among you all. To God be all the grace. So, according to my experience, I got to see that growing up with a father that is absent, it does something that which at times cannot be replaced by anyone else. Let's take, for example, that I am a preacher, right? So you get to see that in our Christian walk, if you don't have a father in your life, you're going to see that even your perspective to God is going to be affected. You are not going to look at God as the kind of a father He is. You are not going to be expecting anything from Him, because you all what you simply have is that image, maybe, and I might say that maybe the blueprint of maybe the kind of a father that you have. So if maybe let's say if people come to you and maybe let's say they try to convince you that God is a loving father, you don't see that within Him. You don't view Him that. So it affects your faith. Your Christian walk is something that it affects you as an individual. Also, you're going to see that there is that void which no one can ever replace if you don't have that person in your life. Because a father is someone, maybe so it is a figure to whom you actually look up to as an individual, as a child. So if you don't have that in your life, you're going to see that your life, you just believe in life. Maybe so you develop that insecurity within you. You don't have anyone to turn to, because we do have issues that as young men, to which we only want maybe our fathers to help us on that one. But if he's absent, you don't have anyone to turn to. And something that is I might say that it's frustrating, and it does something within you. You begin, even the courage, you don't even have the courage or the boldness to be among other children, because other children, they have fathers who are role models. They have parents whom they look up to. They have parents to whom they turn to. But if you don't have that one, you also have that insecure. You just be feeling that I don't belong. You understand? So it's something that to all the fathers, we have maybe to, even if you maybe let's say you are occupied with work, but you just have to create time and just be with your family, because they really need you. They really need you. A father, he might be also a mentor. He might be guiding you. He might be. So if you have a family, to all the fathers out there, you just have to know that yes, in as much as you provide for your family, but they also want you in their life. They also want to spend quality time with you. So that's all I have to share with you.
Thank you very much. Coach Nigel, do you have any thoughts on this?
Okay, thank you, Coach Carl. Good day, everyone. As it has been said even by our fathers, that a father is a very important figure in a boy child's life. You get to see when the father is absent, the boy child gets to lack the soft skills that Mr. Grayson was saying, that the father feeds the boy child with the software. So fathers, they should be there so that they get to offer social support. They get to also aid with psychological development. And a father being present in a boy child's life, it also offers a sense of security, stability, and also identity, because that boy child really needs it. But when the father is absent, the boy child feels so insecure, and even being among other children, you'll be feeling like I do not belong. Like the sense of belonging is not in you, and you'll be seeing yourself as someone who has degraded. But so having an absent father really affects a lot of children, especially the boy child, because fathers, they are there for the boy child to look up to them as a mentor. They are there to be someone who guides and also offer support to the boy child. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful insight. Statistics say 1 in every 3 children grow up without a father figure in their lives. So what they've just been saying is that fathers are needed for the male child to have security, to have a sense of purpose, to have a sense of fulfillment. So if a boy child is not given that fulfillment within their lives, they will either resort to other things to fulfill that void. Then it goes on to my next question, to say, as we are discussing this scenario that we just have highlighted, what are some of the effects of a present father but absent father, not only in Zimbabwe but the world over? I believe it's a traumatic experience for an adolescent male child as it is for a female child. So I'll put this across to Nigel once more to say, what are some of the effects of having an absent father? I'm sure you've mentioned some of the things, but we want to get maybe into more depth into saying what are some of the things that you can safely say this one didn't have a father whilst they were growing up.
Okay, so the effects, as a boy child, you get to feel that void, that the father is absent. You feel like you, as I was saying, like you don't belong to this group, to other children. Like you feel like you are different from the rest, and you are inadequate. And also, without a father, there are some issues that you want to discuss with him that you can't discuss maybe with your mother, because most of the times when the father is absent, the only person who might be present is the mother. But for my case, I'm glad that my grandfather was there, so he's the one whom I took as a father figure. So I considered him a father. So anything that he has to relate with male issues or father issues, I get to talk to him. Also, sometimes you get to see maybe the boy child, the way he gets to behave. Some even resort to taking drugs just because the father is absent. So, and them taking drugs is a result of maybe, for instance, let's say that boy is living with his grandmother. Then the grandmother is upset and is scolding him. Sometimes you hear them say, just because your father didn't take care of you and all that, mwana wewe unombo baba wako chichichi and all that. So the parents or the guardians, they say that without realizing that it's also affecting that child. So the moment that you're telling that child, hey, your father didn't provide anything, I'm providing to you and you're doing this to me. Yes, children make mistakes, but you venting your anger and telling them all that, it will make them see which perhaps I'm a burden to this family. If my father was there, everything was going to be all right. So I believe this is also another issue that has also affected each and every child who doesn't have a father figure out there.
Thank you very much for that, Coach Nigel. And I'm moving forward to Mr. Max Chitaka. Yes, you are the founder of Father2Son Support Network. I'm sure you have met with a lot of boys, with a lot of men that you've come across, or you have showed tendencies of having an absent father. What can you say definitely is the one most maybe trait that they have, and how in turn have you tried to address it?
Thank you so much, Coach. Hey, this issue of absent fathers in societies, in families, it's very traumatic to a boy child, because as boys are growing up, they grow up slightly different from girls. Boys actually, they back in the olden days, boys would go to the fields or even into the bush with other men or with the uncles to be trained to copy skills. There are certain skills that men copy from each other. If so, boys actually copy from other men. And when the father is there, like in this current society that we are now living in, there's no more any bush where you go to teach your son A, B, C, and D. You do it day after day. But if the father is not there, who will teach that son? Yes, we have mothers that are capable, that can teach one or two things, but there are certain skills, there are certain traits that one can only get directly from his own father. And some of these skills or traits, they are not really taught. I think they are just intuition, like the boy just picks it from what the father does. You see, when my son was growing up, he would literally imitate the way I walked. You see, when a man is masculine, so when you walk like a big man. So he naturally imitates that. So imagine if the father is not there, who does he imitate? So I'm only picking a small issue about walking, but there are other emotional, like if there is an issue, maybe he's crying over something, or maybe there is a problem, an emotional problem. He comes to the father, we can just say, no, my son, don't worry, things will be okay, I'm there, I will sort things out. Then the problem dies off. But if the father is not there, who will say those words? I know mothers might say, I know we can say that, but sometimes when the man says it, it's slightly different. And the boys understand it a bit better. So there is that gap that still continues to remain. And most of the boys that come to us on our platform, they cry about that. They say, no, I have a problem. Like recently I was talking to another young man who was saying, no, I'm having a problem with like things like masturbating, and I don't know who to talk to. It's eating me up. I feel useless. You see? But it's a critical issue that young man cannot talk to his mother and discuss it. And the mother may not really understand it. But if the father is there, he will understand. He has been there. He knows what happens, and he knows he has everything that young man has. So these are some of the issues that are coming up, and we are saying, fathers, we need to be there in families. Yes, couples may fight, but let's evolve, let's develop to a point where we agree to disagree and stay with and look after the boy child and look after the girl child as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Grayson, you want to say something?
I think I was bending to say that fatherhood is gender sensitive.
Oh, yes.
Only men can be fathers.
Yes.
This is why, of course, men do provide, and sometimes our women counterparts feel that because they have capacity to provide, it follows that they can be father and mother. That is not the correct order of God, and that is the provision is a fatherhood entry level. Fatherhood requires, like I indicated, a father is a male role model. What is a man? And that cannot be modeled by anyone who is not a man. So fatherhood is gender sensitive. Only men can be fathers. And when children are looking for fathers, they are looking for a man. They are not looking for presence. They are looking for his presence, his availability, his being there. That is very critical. And that cannot be substituted by things. That's why presence cannot substitute his presence.
These are powerful insights you are sharing, gentlemen. And I particularly love how you addressed it, that we need his presence in our lives. And what Mr. Chitaka was actually saying, that his son was modeling him. So in you, he saw a role model. He saw someone he wanted to be. He saw inspiration. And I believe that, Mr. Greystone, you particularly interact with a lot of individuals within the church, maybe outside the confinements of the church as well. And maybe you've actually seen some characteristics that in this scenario that we are discussing today. Let's say, for instance, the father has been absent for so many years, and now they are saying to their child or to their male child, I now want to be part of your life. And maybe over the years, they have lost the years, and now they want to make up for it. So how can the son and the father handle that process? What can you say? How do they handle that connection to say, I now want to be in your life. I know I've messed up. I know I've done things maybe you're not particularly proud of, and you might not really want to see me right now. But as a father, I want now to own up for my mistakes. What advice, or maybe what process can you say someone has to follow in order for them to actually connect?
That's a very broad question, but very pertinent in our society, because it's a common feature. In the book that I authored, When Fathers Go Missing for different reasons. And we, particularly as a child, I might have been fed with one side of the story. I don't know what happened. And the interpretation or my understanding of this father has been from other people and not from him. So when he says, I want to come back, I think that because there is a father-sized void in every child, they want to see their father. They want to know who their father is. The first recommendation that I give, because I write about it in the book, there's a young man who was yearning to see his father. But his mother was refusing, because the mother was angry about how their marriage had ended. But I advised him against carrying the bitterness of the mother into his own life. So I considered that he really wanted to see his father. The best thing is engage. You are very angry, understandably so. But perhaps also there is something you don't know. What made him leave? And number 2, forgive. Why do you forgive? Forgiveness is not a favor you are doing to the person who wronged you. Forgiveness is a self-service.
Okay.
I am helping myself when I forgive. Because when I don't forgive, I keep carrying this load, this anger, this bitterness, which might actually be justifiable. But I do myself a disservice if I continue life carrying it. So by forgiving, I am helping myself. Forgiveness is not a weakness. Forgiveness is a strength. Number 3, there is mutual fulfillment particularly when he has taken an initiative to say, I want to come and see you. I want to know you. It's never easy. It's never comfortable, probably the first meetings, because you don't know this guy. More so, you have created a picture, because every child is a picture of a father, whether he's present or he's absent. When he's absent, there is a certain picture. Maybe it's disappointing, that picture. So you are not too impressed when you see him, but better go through the motion. They are healing you, and most probably they are also healing him. So when he says, I want to come back, I encourage the young person to go there. Why not pour out to him your angers and your frustrations? Directly to him. Don't talk about him. Talk to him. The two are different. So I believe in engagement. When he says, I want to come back into your life. Sadly, we always commercialize the relationship of a returning father. To say he missed the better part of my life. He didn't want to spend money on me. So why does he want me now? We think that the father's role is only limited to finances, and therefore, maybe I'm done with university, so why does he want to come now? There is more to a father beyond the dollars and cents he might not have spent on you. So when there is an occasion that he says, I want to come in your life, many a time even to the girl child, there are stories around he wants to come for lobola. He wants to take over that money. It's to the girl child, I recommend that you connect with him. Hear him out. Don't, especially when you're now of age, don't let people talk about him and deprive you of the opportunity for you to talk to him.
Powerful insights there. I really loved how you narrowed it down to the simple steps that we have to follow. I think you are helping someone out there that might have been facing this. And then moving on to Coach Chitaka, I'm sure he has something to say on this as well.
Okay. I think Mr. Chipote has summed it up, but I just want to say, couples, maybe husband and wife, or maybe a man and a woman, maybe your girlfriend, or whichever setup that you might have. I think let's develop to a point where we don't use our children as weapons in our disagreements. To say maybe you have fought, maybe you want to divorce, then you now say, no, I want to fix him by denying him access to his son. As a Father2Son Support Network, we are having so many men coming to us crying to say, I have a son, but my wife or my girlfriend or whoever, but mostly the women, they tend to say, okay, I will make him suffer by denying him access to his son. So the child will grow up without the father. The father will be absent, not by default. So when the son grows up, he is now a working man, is now 2022, the father comes back, then it's sometimes, not always, sometimes it may be portrayed as if the father was deliberately absent. But in most cases, some cases that we are handling, it's by nature of a dispute, and the man was denied access to the son. And in such situations, they are so devastating to the children. So I want to encourage, if ever you want to divorce, let's agree to disagree. To say, okay, it's the two of us who are divorcing, or we are now separating the two of us, but we have a child in between us. How can we now manage so that the child or the boy child has access to both of us? So that at least we are apart, but he can still go to the father and get the benefits of being a father, and he can also go back to the mother and also get the benefits. So when you talk of children's rights, I think those are some of the rights that are not being talked about, and they only manifest when the boy is old, and when us men, in most cases, we are on the receiving end, because it's always said, no, this one, he didn't do this, he didn't do A, B, C, and D. It's a bit magnified. But I want to just appeal to say, whenever we are having the disagreements, let's leave children out. And if you want to fight, let's fight through other means, but let's not use the children as weapons. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much for giving us a detailed outline on not using our children as scapegoats to whatever it is that we so desire. And now moving on, I would want to maybe pose a question to the two gentlemen, the young gentlemen that I have within the room, to say, you might not have a father figure in your life, or you might have had a father figure in your life. What is your perception, or what do you perceive about your father? And how has it helped you to navigate maybe life hurdles, life challenges? What perception can you say, this was my dad and I'm following this direction, or I'm following this path? I would pose this question to Wallen.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you so much. Yes, we are sharing and we are learning. But I'd like to say maybe a story of these two young men that I heard of. There were two young men, right? And we get to see that one was successful and one was poor. Then when they were asked, the rich one, the one who was successful was asked, how come, what made you made it so far in life? How are you able to do this, yet your brother is doing this, yet you have this kind of a father in your life? Then he said, what do you expect to the kind of father that I have? Then they went again to the one who was struggling in life. And they asked him the same question. And he said, what do you expect with the kind of life that I had? So you get to see that this is two-sided. In the sense that maybe the absence of father in a man's figure, in a child's figure, it either contributes positively or negatively. You get to see that as a child, you change, you get to have this perspective maybe about life, and you have within you something maybe which should drive you to say that I don't want this kind of life maybe for my children also. So it will motivate you to keep on working hard as a young man. It will push you to go an extra mile, because you don't want that kind of life, the life that you had as a child. You don't want it for your children also. Then you get to see that again, as you say that it creates maybe let's say a sense of insecure. You get to see that it might negatively affect you as a child. There is thing that I know I don't have maybe the capacity. Because you get to see that maybe there is something, it's like an impartation which happens. You see, it's like, I don't know how to explain this, but you develop this, maybe feeling within you that if my father, the one I'm supposed to look up to, my role model, if he failed in this area, or maybe what gives me maybe the right or the privilege, or is there any possibility that I can also make it in life? So it's something that as fathers, they also have to take note of that. And I also like the fact that the point that was raised by our fathers here, they say that a father is not only limited to the dollars that he has in his pocket. You're going to see that yes, in as much as maybe Lesotho, he might be Lesotho present, but not present. Maybe I would like to give maybe an example of this one. Or maybe you get to see that in church, in a church setup, right? People will be in church, but they won't be in his presence. So a father might be he might be there, but he might not be present in your life. He might be providing, but he might not be there to give you that moral support. You understand? So it's something that we also want. We are. As for those, the provisions, the finances, as a male child, you get to see that none of that matters. But what we only want is to have that commanding voice, that person who's going to speak into your life. Because you get to see that, yes, in as much as the mother can provide, as our father said here, yes, the mother can provide, and it's a very good thing. You might be privileged to get a mother who can provide for you. But here's the difference now. You get to see that there is a voice that a mother instills within you. Yes, a mother will come, will motivate you. I will encourage you. But just like mentorship, that you need an accountability partner. Someone is going to be a commanding voice to tell you that no, right now you have missed it in this way. You have to do this and this and this. Maybe so if you are making mistakes, you need that commanding voice, that person who's going to who is going to help you come back to your senses as a man. So if you don't have that commanding voice in your life, you're going to see that it's something which really affects you as a child. So I liked also the fact that he said that the only way I would maybe engage is for you to engage and forgive. I'm going to see that if you understand the fatherhood of God, I'm going to see that He's a forgiving Father. And if you also adopt that, I'm going to see that it is something that is going to help you. In the sense that I think that it's for me, it was an honor, right? And it's a privilege, in fact, because the absence of my biological father in my life right now, it helped me develop a relationship with God. It helped me get closer to Him. So I do understand some of the natures and the characters that God has and the way He operates. So I do understand the nature, maybe that side of Him who is a loving and forgiving Father. So you get to see that I don't have any grudges or any beef with the Father, with my Father. And I do believe that there are fights. The fight between a mother and a father is something which, as a child, I don't have to maybe be in between them, but I just have to love them the way they are. I just have to love my mother and the father. I just have to accept that, yes, in life we do make mistakes, but the mistakes that we make, they don't define us. They don't define who we are. You see? So it's not like my father is going to maybe so to teach me the same mistakes that I did. But instead, when He comes into my life, you're going to see that He's going to say that, my son, I made a mistake here and here and here. So I would like you maybe to improve in a way that I did, so that you don't make the same mistakes. You understand? So it's something which also they say, if it comes back, it's something that you have to maybe get excited about as a child, because the way you say that it's foolish to maybe to repeat the same mistakes that the same people made. But you have to learn from the mistakes of other people so that you can progress in life, so that you can do your own thing, so that you can become the person that God ordained you to be. So it's actually something which is good. In the way that it will also give you the honor and the privilege to learn, so that you also won't go in the same path. So it's something that I would encourage the fathers out there, that maybe you get to say that maybe most of the fathers, they were maybe afraid to come back home, saying that maybe the children will not accept me. But it's something that a child will be longing for. Is something that a child will belong for. In the Bible, with the story of the prodigal son, you're going to see that no matter what happened, he had to go back home, and the father was waiting for him. So that's the heart of a child concerning the father also. You will be waiting for that father to come back into your life. You'll be waiting for the father figure so that he can come and speak into your life, even if he doesn't contribute anything, but you just want him to be present. You just want him to motivate you and tell you that it's going to be okay. So that's all I just had to say. Thank you, boys.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Coach Nigel. Coach Nigel, I think when one of your responses, you actually shared that you didn't have your father present whilst you were growing up. You had your grandparent or grandfather rather, who was taking care of you. What is that? What picture do you have of your father that you can say, I think he is like this, or I think he might have helped me like this? And how do you intend, how are you going to maybe make yourself not to make maybe your child, do the same mistake? How are you going, what can you intend say, I've actually learned this and I want to do this better?
Okay, the perception that one gets to have about his father. As a child, when you're growing up, as more obvious, the perceptions that you have is what you are fed by the guardians. So if you are told that your father is a bad person and all that anger or that hatred, it gets to grow in you. But as for me, the privilege that I had as I grew up, I got to have coaches and mentors around me, and the platform Father2Son Support Network. So it then made me get to realize what even Mr. Grayson mentioned. And I then realized that, yes, sometimes you have to engage. That's acknowledging what happened and also accepting what happened. And then you try to forgive. Yes, forgiving, it might be a difficult task, but if you take what Mr. Grayson was saying, that it becomes a load on you and it will only affect you in a negative way. So if you get to understand all that, yeah, it might help you. That's the privilege that I had about being in encounters with coaches and mentors who are father figures. And then sometimes when the father is not there, you get to have mixed emotions, that he's absent, he should have done this, and why does he want to come back now? Is it because that I have accomplished something, I'm now at another level in life, and he just wants to come and reap where he didn't sow? But in you, after having those thoughts, there will be that hope that at least maybe if I get to meet him, at least maybe if I get to see him, there will still be that hunger for you maybe to draw closer to him. So I would also encourage everyone who is under my situation of having a missing father figure, that they have to engage and forgive, as Mr. Grayson had said, because if they don't forgive, it will only affect them. And sometimes, as Walian said, the father would be wanting to come back, but because they are also afraid that will the child accept me back, should I give it a try and all that. So if we just be open and forgive, because sometimes we also don't know what exactly made our parents also to separate. Then myself, from this, I also learned how to connect with other people, how to network, and also have good relations with friends and family who were giving me the support of a father figure in my life. And I wouldn't want that, especially for my child in the future. I will try to be present if it could be disputes that could be there between myself and my wife. We will try to solve those without involving the child, just as Coach Chitaka mentioned. Because sometimes what parents, the disagreements that they have, they might affect the child, and you involving the child, you are also worsening the situation and making it worse for the child. So this is what I have.
Thank you very much, Coach Nigel, for sharing with us your experience. I'm sure someone has caught up something from your own story. And then moving forward to our powerful coaches, we have initiatives that are molding and helping the men to become what they are supposed to be in this generation. So maybe to start off with, besides the books that you two gentlemen have actually written, are there any other initiatives that you have to say when we see a child, or when you see a male child that he had that experience of an absent father? Is there courses? Are there seminars? Are there classes? What do you to just address that issue, so that at least whenever they get married or whenever they having a relationship, at least they know that I won't, I would avoid this by all means.
Oh, thank you so much, Coach. Yes, we do have some programs. I think this year we'll be running a boy-child mentorship program where we invite the boys to come together, share ideas, get the model, like the Boy Scouts model of yesteryear. But we are now remodeling it into something quite amazing. We also even invite the fathers to come with their boy child. We go out, go camping into the bush, we stay there for some days and learn soft skills that the boys need to learn. So those are some of the programs that we have. And even now, we also have some other boys who come in just to chat. Some just inbox us to ask, to just want to know information. I'm experiencing this in my body. What should I do? You see, it's not really the big issues that are there, but there are those small things. Because people tend to believe that it's only the girl child who needs guidance as they grow up. She needs to be told how to bath, how to do this, how to look after your body, how to look after yourself, how to behave, and things like that. And most boys, they're just being left on their own. And if you go into the streets, you find boys just grouped by the road, talking, chatting, up to as late as 9 p.m. and no one asks them, whoa, what are you doing there? So we want to groom boys that are responsible. You see, we are struggling with issues of gender-based violence, gender issues. Boys are disrespecting people, they are disrespecting their mothers. But it boils down to fatherhood. If the father is there, he is able to instill the proper God-given discipline in the boy child, and he grows knowing that no, these are my limits and these are my boundaries as a man. I'm not supposed to scold a girl. I'm not supposed to touch a girl. I'm not supposed to do this. I shouldn't sleep with a girl before such a time before I marry her. So these are some of the values that we are trying to instill in our boys. So to solve the problem of gender-based violence, I think if it was done at an early stage, we'll win. Thank you so much.
And moving on to Mr. Greystone, maybe you might have something to share on this. And I also want to pose a question to him to say, does this wound heal, or it takes a lifetime, or it never heals? What can you say? Is there hope for someone who had an absent father? Does that wound heal over time, or we just have to be nursing it as we live for the rest of our lives?
Thank you very much. That's a very difficult question. Does the wound heal? No. Can it be made better? Yes. I lost my father, but I was an adult. I actually had my first child when my father passed, and I consistently think about him. That wound is not healed. So, because I miss him, he's absent. You see, absent can be by death, absent can be abandonment, but whichever case, there is absence. And that absence, you will always feel it. You have a story. Everyone has a fatherhood story. Whether the father is alive, the father is late. So, does this wound heal? No. In the cases that I know. However, how do you make it better? That is very important, because I think many get stuck there. You can make it better when the father is absent. It gives a child a rare favor to choose a father. Remember that when children are born, they don't choose their fathers. Your father is your father. But in the event that is now absent, you have a rare privilege to choose a father. Say, I think I can have this as my father. Everyone has that privilege. However, what happens is that some choose the wrong father. When Chitaka was talking about the cases of drugs, the kingpin of drugs can become my father, because every person looks up to a certain leader. So the issue now is, which leader do I choose? So some will go into drugs. I know in South Africa it's a big issue of these warlords, these groups, these gangs. Those boys chose the wrong fathers. But those drug lords, those gang kings are actually their fathers. They give them instructions. Go and kill so and so. I need 10,000 rands today. And they obey. Why do they obey? They are pleasing a father who they do not have at home. It's not the violence they are after. It's pleasing the father that they are yearning for. So I'm trying to answer your question. Does this wound heal? No, but there are ways we are wired to still look for these fathers. So you have a rare privilege of looking for a father. Remember, biology is the lowest level of fatherhood. In the Bible, you have Jesus Christ. Joseph is not his father biologically. But we know that Joseph was his father by function. So, fatherhood, you can still choose a person who then acts as a father. I'm glad Nigel was talking about his grandfather. It's not a rare occurrence that our grandfathers become fathers. Why? Because biology, like I'm saying, is the lowest level of fatherhood. But what the grandfather then does, and is a male role model, because fatherhood can only be done by males. So when the grandfather steps in, the truth is he has become your father. And there's nothing wrong with that. You still have someone to look up to. There are some that might not have. I remember speaking to this lady, says, when I tell my relatives that I want fathers for this child, they think that I want money for my son. But I want a model. I want someone my son can talk to. Accountability relationships, authority. All those things are very important. So I hope I'm answering your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Greystone. I believed someone has learned. And lastly, I will pose this question to Mr. Chitaka to say, what advice can you say, or maybe to the generations to come? Can we eradicate these scenarios of an absent father? What can you safely say to the people listening out there? Maybe it might be a female child that is listening, that in case you are having a relationship, you should see these things, or you should perceive these things rather, so that at least you don't hurt someone, because you might be saying I'm cohabiting, but when in actual fact that relationship is no value, is no significance within your life, and maybe a child is born out of it, but simply because it was out of excitement, out of that frenzy or the passion of your young age. What can you say to the people that are out there that we need, to be self-assertive and see to ourselves at this time?
No, thank you so much, Coach. I think what I might want to say is that, we are now living in an age of technology. We have AI, we have so many things that are now done easily and fast. But let's understand that there are certain things that will never change. The issues of parenthood, the issues of procreation, those things, they will never, even if as much as we might say, we now have computers that are going to do artificial insemination and then carry a baby. Yes, we might have all those things, but the correct way of having children will never change. So the only thing that we can do is to do it the proper way. Let's go back to the correct way of having a relationship, getting married properly, and now have your children as husband and wife after getting married. I think if we go by that way, by that book, we'll never get lost. So because you realize that most of these one night stand relationships, they are the ones that bring an unexpected baby into a relationship. We're just boyfriend and girlfriend, and then we just got carried away over one night, and then we created a baby. And that baby, the man says, no, it's not mine. Let's go for DNA. Let's do this and that. So all those things, they're now creating a lot of confusions that are happening. But if someone is listening to me and you want to be a good father or a good mother, you have to do things the correct way. Get into a relationship, get married, stay together, and start having children, not by default, but through a decision to say, okay, we are now married and we now want to have a baby. Now let's decide to have children. But in most cases, people no longer decide to have children. Children just come unexpectedly, and once the children are there, then issues start happening. And the man is actually at an advantage of, maybe if he is not interested, he might actually run away and maybe claim to say, no, it's not me, it's someone else. So I want to encourage people, let's just go to the book. even in the Bible, is there. Let's stick to the old way of doing things. As much as technology is there, but let's go back to the basics and do things the correct way. It will never get lost. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that wonderful discussion that we just had. I believe someone has actually learned a lot of the nuggets that you have just shared. I want to particularly thank Mr. Greystone on becoming available on one or being here today with us. We really appreciate your invaluable insights on what you have just shared, as well as the founder of Father2Son Support Network, Mr. Max Chitaka. You really shared a lot of things that we are seeing in our lives that are happening, and not necessarily to say this is something that has been written in the book, but is happening right before our eyes. So thank you so much for that enlightening advice. As well, our two young gentlemen in the room, Mr. Wale Tinashe, thank you so much for those powerful insights. I'm sure a lot of people were really touched with your stories as well. And lastly, Mr. Nigel Mapfumo, Coach Nigel, thank you so much for sharing with us your experience on how you grew up and perceived a father figure in your grandfather, which is very remarkable. So thank you very much from the Father2Son Support Network. This marks the end of this podcast. Till we meet again, you have a lovely day, and we hope to have another insightful session once more.